Commercial screens. Maybe you don't have to say forever. Well, okay, we'll let you
But I'm
go.
here.
We're just Troy will be back in just a second. This is Robert Wynn. Robert is in Milwaukee, and Robert, these two young men. Jake is our computer guy. He knows computers and stuff. I don't even know if I could have made it through the last month without him after I destroyed our website. All kinds of stuff.
Sounds like a good person to know.
Oh, he is, and he is. He's a good guy, and so we use him for all kinds of stuff. And then Ernesto is one of our newest scholars, and he just hit the ground running.
I did.
And I was waiting for Troy to get back because I was going to say, and he did Troy's boot camp.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
So he can probably tell you about those experiences. I was just going to let Troy come back on so he could, hear it.
Right.
It's
So,
a pleasure to meet you, Robert. It's a pleasure to meet you virtually, not in person.
Likewise. Thank you.
Robert, tell them what you do, man. Because Troy and
Well,
I already know that.
yeah, and it's not easy to explain what I do, but I have a early part of my career. Well, number one, I'm a lawyer by training and went to University of Michigan and practiced law for a short time in Detroit.
I didn't know that, Robert.
Yeah, it's just, by training, but I really don't hold myself out to be a lawyer. I did go to law school and got my law degree and license and all that. But I had most of my career in economic development, working with the state of Wisconsin in small and minority business development. And I did that a total of 25 years in 3 different positions with the state, but all geared toward economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. And then began to really get interested in the racial wealth gap, looking at the difference between African Americans and Latinos households wealth versus majority household wealth, and created a nonprofit focused on financial education with the idea that one of the strategies would be to enhance the level of knowledge that people will come into adulthood with, as far as understanding about saving, investing, compounding, net worth, just very basic financial information that can go a long way in helping people to build their net worth. And that nonprofit is called Asset Builders of America. It's a 20-year-old nonprofit. In the past year, I've spun out a separate nonprofit that is also focused on financial education, but with more concentration in 3 areas, or more focus in 3 areas. One is, it's called Climb USA, and the website is climbusa.org. And it has a stronger focus on youth and families of color. And number 2, it's focused on investment education as a key element within financial literacy in general. And it has the mission of trying to reach youth and families nationwide through some of its programming to go beyond just the state of Wisconsin. And Michael is right. I serve Milwaukee, but I actually live in Madison, which is about 90 miles away. I live in Madison, Wisconsin.
See, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, well,
Robert,
most
I'm
people,
just finding all. Well, you know what's funny about that is both of these gentlemen are on our junior board, and the chair of the junior board, who normally is out here, he was in Madison, Wisconsin for the last 4 to 5 months, working at a small accounting firm.
Oh,
And if I would have known that's where you were, you could have
mhm.
met Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yep.
eventually, I'm sure you'll meet.
Mhm. Okay.
Troy, are you there?
I am. I am. Forgive me. I'm just trying to pair wireless headphones.
Okay.
Deep Padre, and they told you
Well,
not.
as long as you're listening,
I
I will
am.
have Jake and Ernesto introduce themselves formally, and then Ernesto, I'm going to let you take over.
Okay,
And
awesome.
I was going to actually send an invite to my colleague, Ione. Is that possible, Michael, or do you
Oh,
want to just keep
sure.
it?
What?
Okay.
Ernesto. That's a face and a voice I know.
Yes, yes.
Sup, man?
How are you doing, Troy?
I'm good, brother. You're still bubbly and
He's like that all the time.
yeah, all
Every
the
day.
time. And those hands get moving. I know this guy. What's up, Ernesto, man? Good to see you.
Robert, you can send it on? Do you need me to send it to them,
No,
or?
I'll just send it as FYI. She's working, so I don't know if she'll get on or not, but she's helping me with the stock market game. So if you're going to talk about other platforms, I'd love for her to hear
Well,
about
yeah,
them.
and just so you know, Robert, I am recording this,
Oh,
so
good.
I'll make sure that you have it. And Troy, I'm just so out of it. I did not realize Ernesto did even though now it seems like there's quite a few people, but I didn't realize that Ernesto had done the boot camp.
What do you mean done? He was one of the stars.
I'll bet
He
so.
said it was pretty intense, though.
It was super educational, and in my opinion, I took a lot from it. And it was
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. The next level one is coming up soon, the summer intensive. So if you want to take it to the next level, those applications should be going out within days.
absolutely, I'm there.
Because he was asking
Cool.
about that, so you just answered his question.
Yeah, they're going out definitely within days. Expected launch Tuesday, June 15th. And this is specifically for like once you want to enter the game, preparation for the summer internships, for those interviews, just a lot of intensive modeling and certifications from your SIE, the first exam.
So, Troy, I'm working with Ernesto on reestablishing the finance club at DVC, which is a community college that is right outside of Walnut Creek. But
Is that
DVC,
Diablo?
yeah.
I keep
So
on hearing about Diablo.
Oh, you know about them, huh?
I
Well,
think we had a Diablo student in the boot camp also.
probably I wouldn't doubt it, but I am assisting him in reestablishing the finance club because DVC has been a fertile ground for me. Like I found Ernesto, except for I found him on LinkedIn.
Then
It's so weird how I missed him because he knows all the other people that are working on these various projects. So I'm really glad that you had a chance to explore. Ernesto, did you want to ask add anything else before I let Jake introduce themselves and then we'll get started?
well, I just want to add that the reason I found the Wall Street Bound was because of a post from TSS, right? Like that was the primary reason why I joined the program. I saw the post and I thought to myself, I need to do this, right? Anything that's gonna enhance my knowledge and like skills that will then later allow me to leverage myself into a position. I have to do. That's all I got.
And he's a hard worker. So Jake, introduce
I was
yourself.
just going to
Oh,
quickly
I'm
ask
sorry.
Ernesto,
Mhm.
what level are you in college or beyond? And what is your career aspiration?
Yeah, so I'm actually a sophomore at community college. I have one more year before I hope to transfer to a school such as UC Berkeley. My aspirations at the moment is I'm currently doing a bunch of volunteering and internship in accounting, but I hope to go into investment banking and wealth management there.
Fantastic. Good.
Jake.
Yes. What's up? Robert, it's really good to meet you as well as Troy.
Mhm.
So I am a student at Santa Cruz. I recently transferred from DVC and my major is computer engineering, which I guess begs the question, why am I in a finance group? I've known Michael and TSS for quite a while because I joined one of their finance groups at DVC, just listening in. And I didn't join until a few years later because I wanted to like transfer first. And so I'm really interested in finance and especially education in finance
Hmm.
because Robert, my dad is also a lawyer who
Oh.
went to Berkeley Law and then did
Hmm.
security exchange, got tired of it, and then did other stuff to help like local communities for like entrepreneurship, like teaching kids around the Oakland area martial arts and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what he kind
Jake,
of does now.
tell
Very
them about your secret project.
So the purpose of me joining TSS with only one goal in mind is that my personal feeling about kind of like current financial stock simulators is that they're a little bit too not really welcoming to like people who are first doing finance for the first time.
Mhm.
And so I kind of want to change that. So since I have a background in computer science and program development, I was planning to like build one from the ground up
Wow.
for TSS. And
Oh. Yeah.
just a little bit. Yeah.
That is really
He's
wonderful.
smart enough to do it too, Robert. That's the thing.
That's fantastic. And I
So-
think there's a need for that too. I mean, the platform we're using was not built with us in mind, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Ernesto, do you want to just kind of start? And Jake, I know you're going to chime in. So the floor is yours. I have not shared that document that you gave me. So if you
But-
want to put it in the chat, go ahead and do that.
Absolutely. Not only am I going to do that, I'm going to share my screen so everybody can see.
Okay. Let me let you do that. Okay, you got it, man.
Okay, cool. So I'm actually going to share my screen first, show the document, talk about it, and then afterwards I'm going to share the document, the link, so people can access it if they wish to. So Jake, me and you can talk about this, and I'm going to start with pretty much some of the details regarding how we went about evaluating all these different stock simulators. So in our team, we had about five to
Ernesto, sorry to interrupt, brother. Any
Yes.
way you can make that bigger?
let me try.
Are you
I
on
turned
your
50 in 2
phone?
weeks. There you go. No,
Well,
I'm on my screen.
knew,
Just
he knew
Know
that
how he did that.
he knew that there was a senior citizen on the call, so he asked that for my purposes. Thank
No.
you,
Oh
Troy.
my God.
appreciate it.
That
I
does
turned
help.
50 in 2 weeks.
That's still young.
Okay,
The
thanks.
youngster.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. So we had about 5 to 7 different people in our team, and we really started brainstorming on how are we going to go about evaluating these different stock simulators. So what I went ahead and did is I created a list of criteria from which we can really start thinking about the different aspects and factors that go into what makes a stock simulator good, right? And just to give you an idea, we had 10 different criteria: availability of an extensive learning center, right? Education for the students. Most of these people that are going to be going and utilizing the stock simulator aren't educated on stocks and all these different things, right? So you really need to have an extensive source of information and education. The options to trade a wide variety of securities, customization of game creation, short market delay. Most of them had a long market delay, but some didn't. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Opinion to opinion. Option, that's supposed to say option, to analyze fundamental financial data such as financial statements, availability of technical screeners, real-time charts, and finally, a minimum of 10 years of past historical data. So the 8 online stock simulators that we examined were StockTrack, Portfolios with Purpose, Stock Market Game, CME Group, Rapunzel Investments, which is in a smartphone app, Rapunzel Investments, Meritus Tech, Investopedia, and MarketWatch. And before I get into the analysis, Jake, do you want to say anything?
Nope, take it away, Ernesto.
Okay, cool. So after actually going through all of those, we pretty much came to the conclusion that the 2 best stock simulators were Investopedia and MarketWatch. Those were the 2 top choices after going over all of them. And here's the reason why. Pretty much how it says right here, I was predominantly impressed by the simple yet extensive availability of features and customizability that was displayed by both stock simulators. So what I'm going to talk about applies to both stock simulators, but you will realize what the difference is once I get into it. For example, Investopedia offers its users a simple UI, which is a user interface, that allows the user to either create a game or join an existing one. The option to create a game is very interactive as it offers a variety of options that allow you to customize games based on different complexity levels. What I mean by that is that there's high levels. Investopedia and MarketWatch both have high levels of customizability, right? And it's a lot more extensive than what I put here because it's that large. There's that many features. And for example, they allow you to trade with margin, short sell, and trade options. And you can actually turn those options, not the options, but you can turn not the option securities, but you can turn those features on or off based on how complex you want to create that game. And that allows for the option for creating games that's targeted at individuals who don't have much experience and those who have more experience within trading stocks and the markets. So next, both Investopedia and MarketWatch offer these options. But one advantage that I personally saw that Investopedia has over MarketWatch is that, I'm going to go over here, is that it has a considerably large database of information. And what I mean by this is Investopedia in itself, what it is a large database full of financial education. So if you really have any questions about what this means or that means, you can actually just go on investopedia.com and search it. And you will receive a very thorough analysis of what that term is and even further, because generally what Investopedia is before a stock simulator, or what it is and how it acts better than just a stock simulator, it's a whole resource of information and financial education. And in my opinion, this is in one way how Investopedia differs positively from MarketWatch. MarketWatch, although Investopedia has a very large database, MarketWatch does still offer education or directed towards investing. But in my opinion, I just think Investopedia does a much better job at offering that information and offering more extensive information. On the other hand, though, they both have significant 15 to 20 minute market delay, but Investopedia has the option when you're creating a game to lower the market delay to only 1 minute, which can also be seen as an advantage. Aside from that, both the platforms offer the same buy and sell variability, stock research capabilities, including the fundamental financial statements. They offer all three of them, a long track of historical data, and the same real-time charts and analytical tools that aid in fundamental stock research. And when I say that it's very similar, I mean it's very similar because they actually use the same platforms when it comes to real-time charts and analytical tools. They use the same platform, which is a third-party app that's implemented into their website. So it's literally the same. So in my own conclusion, and this is a conclusion that a lot of people within the group made as well, and Jake, you can speak to this as well, is that although both MarketWatch and Investopedia appear to have an extremely effective stock market simulator, Investopedia appears to be the better option. And this conclusion has been reached based on the Investopedia's game customizability and complexity, as well as being a large domain for financial education and information. MarketWatch shares many of the same quality. It does not offer the same financial education to the degree that Investopedia's platform does. Spelling error right there.
I know. It's like, what is that?
On the other hand, MarketWatch has an overall more intuitive and playful UI, while Investopedia's UI can feel tacky and disproportionate and significant in comparison to all the features that it offers. So pretty much, here's how I'm gonna break it down. Investopedia, based on the availability to create your own game and the wide variety of features it offers and customizability, it serves as a better platform combined with all the different educational background that it offers compared to MarketWatch. The one thing is MarketWatch offers a better user interface that looks more playful and colorful. But if that doesn't matter, if what we're really getting to the basis of here is which one's going to serve as a better platform for educational purposes and teaching kids how to trade stocks, in my opinion, Investopedia is the winner.
Jake,
I can't say anything better than what
Mm-mm.
Ernesto said.
but Jake, not but and, how did you feel about, because you set up a game on Investopedia. What was that experience like?
So, it's very intuitive. The UI is really simple. They just lay out all the options for you and explain what option does and how can it affect the game. The one thing I did want to add on is that Ernesto did state that there's some options you can turn on and off. However, some of them are kind of a range. So, for instance, if you want to have a really high commission fee for a particular type of stock, whether it's a margin stock or you're shorting or just buying regular stock, then you can put a higher commission on that if you wanted to. So you can customize it not just on and off, but in a range of some sort. Setting up the game is just pretty simple. I did have trouble trying to see how I could view people like ranking, and then also see how the game is progressing. It's a little bit hard to see because they update it after the end of each day, the rankings, and then who has invested more money, or if the portfolio has increased or decreased. Other than that, it's a pretty good like as a moderator, it's a little bit useful, but there's some slight variations.
Hey, can I ask one or two quick questions?
Absolutely.
If you gents can just quickly roll me back through. I saw the criteria briefly up top, but forgive me if I can just ask you to roll back through. Okay, the 10 different criteria, but how exactly did you break that down or go through each to land on the two top? Like I know the criteria and I see them, but like, what was that process of? I mean, did you guys set up games on all 8, for example, or how did you take the criteria and whittle it down to these top 2?
Okay, awesome. So I can go into that. So pretty much what I did was I started thinking about how am I actually going to utilize this criteria to break it down and start eliminating different simulators. So what I did is I went on Excel and I created this chart of pretty much 1 to 5, right? 5 being the Jake, do you?
The worst?
Yeah.
5 was the worst. So it's like golf. The lower the number, the better the score.
The lower the number, the better the score.
And I'm sure that they can share that spreadsheet. I don't think it's secretive if you want to see it, Troy.
No worries. I'm just no.
No. These guys know their stuff. So I'm gonna be quiet.
I don't doubt. I just wanted to sort of hear what that process was.
Right. So after building that spreadsheet out where I pretty much, it was 1 to 5, the lower the number, the better the score, I started going through all these different ones. For example, some I was actually not able to create a game just because of the program itself. One example is Meritex. Meritas Tech. Meritas Tech does not allow anybody to create a game and utilize the platform. That is because it actually only allows some schools in particular that are in partnership with that platform to create a game. CME Group only allows you to trade
Futures
and options, right? So that in itself makes the platform not very useful for beginners. All right. So then we have Portfolios of Purpose, Stock Track, Stock Market Game. Stock Market Game didn't even send me an email back. It took them about a week. And I think in itself, that is inefficient, right? And if you're building an account, it shouldn't take a week to send you the login information. And I think if, as a nonprofit trying to utilize a stock market game, I think that's just very inefficient in itself. So what we did is the ones that allowed us to create games and play around and evaluate, we utilized these different criterias and put a number based on how we thought they did in each different sector. And based on the ones that had the lower scores, we came to our conclusion that Investopedia and Stock Market Watch were the best.
Got it. Thank you. And either of those two, sorry, Michael, you were going to say something?
No, one of the things that we had thought about was perhaps doing two simulators, one for beginners and one for the more experienced. Jay, can you speak to that?
Yes. So because of the nature of the UI between Investopedia and MarketWatch, we decided to split it up between beginners and advanced. MarketWatch has a more kind of realistic simulator if you compare it like to the ones of Thinkorswim or some other ones I can't really remember. But Investopedia is very, very basic. It only has basically a buy or sell button. You can't really do complicated trackers or look at, different bars or set it so that it stops or buy limit. I think that's what it's called. And so we wanted to split it so that if people who are not really experienced and don't want to get too intimidated by all the different buttons and bells and whistles, they can start with Investopedia with a very, very simple layout and then be comfortable looking up like the index of a stock, seeing if it's going to rise or fall, and research it on the same platform and then buy or sell accordingly. Compared to MarketWatch, where a little bit more advanced people can like start doing complicated options or stocks or trading schemes and etc. So we wanted to split it between the two.
Perfect. That was my next question. So thank you. You guys nailed it. So we have the top two. It seems the conclusion is for more advanced tournament or more advanced players, it's MarketWatch. Otherwise, it's Investopedia.
That's correct.
Boom. Call done. Let's go home, have beers. Well done.
They were thorough, weren't they, Troy?
No, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Bob?
Well, I appreciate being invited to look in on this, and it's very enlightening because, as I told Michael and Troy, we went straight to stock market game for what we're doing, just because that's what we were familiar with, but really didn't do any more research. I had heard of Stock Track, and they served some of the classrooms as well. I was wondering if you learned anything specifically about Stock Track that's either positive or negative.
Yeah, I can actually answer that. So Stock Track, we actually didn't get the ability to, I didn't get the ability to play around with it. And the reason for being was that I saw, once I looked over the different websites and the requirements, I saw that you actually have to be an organization or educational organization as well, so like a school, in order to use the platform. So I and myself couldn't make an account and evaluate just because I'm not part of, or I don't own a organization or educational system that I can utilize. And I also saw that it costs money. It's not a free platform.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Besides that, really quick, besides that, Stock Track really seems like a solid platform. And the reason I say that is because it has a really extensive educational base for which kids can learn about the different securities that are being offered and the different types of analysis you can do when it comes to trading stocks. And they did a really good job at, what's the word I'm looking for? They did a really good job at making the UI simple.
Okay, very interesting. And you mentioned that Investopedia and MarketWatch were served by the same third-party vendor. And I was just wondering, do you know who that is?
I don't know exactly who that is, but what I mean by that is that when you actually go into analyze a stock and look at its historical data of the ticker, it's the same. It's used by it's the same platform. You can tell it's the same company that's being utilized to look at the historical data and analyze and use the different technical screeners on it.
Okay.
That I don't know, but I can find it out if
Yeah, I was going to say that could be pretty interesting to find out who's doing the back office for both those two organizations, especially since they turned out to be the ones that you were most, I guess, most impressed with. The Market Watch and Investopedia, just to be clear, those two are both free. Is that correct?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
Free
And
is
just out of,
always good.
yep. And just out of curiosity, Jake and Ernesto, are either of you investors yourselves?
I am. I just do long positions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do anything like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been investing since I was like 13,
Wow.
and I just buy like, if whenever I have some extra cash, I try to like look into a promising company and see if they'll go within a few years. And so
What
far,
brokerage firm do you use, and how did you learn about investing?
so I use Charles Schwab, and I learned about Charles Schwab because of my dad,
Mhm.
and because when I got my first paycheck from like a restaurant job, he told me you have to spend it on stock and nothing
Hmm.
else.
Okay,
So
that's cool. You
I
got a great dad.
yeah.
I like this guy's dad.
Yes.
And
then
Robert,
what-
we have others that are on the committee that weren't able to join us that
Mhm.
are also in the stock market that they're investing.
Okay,
So
that's cool.
it was good to have, both perspectives.
And what about Jake?
um Ernesto?
I mean, Ernesto?
I'm sorry, Ernesto. Yes, thank you, Ernesto.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all good. So I personally don't invest in this market, but how I have been investing most recently is for my retirement. So what I did is I started analyzing a bunch of different mutual funds, bond indexes, and REITs in
Yeah,
order
REITs.
REITs in order to create a diversified portfolio for my Roth IRA so I could set myself up for retirement. Aside from that, I haven't been investing in stocks necessarily in different securities just
Yeah.
because of the fact that I really want to become educated before I put my money out in the
Mhm.
market.
That absolutely makes sense. Okay, that's very good. Let me see if I had any other questions. I think those are the questions that I had. Um, as I indicated, I'm working with a couple of nonprofits, and we're looking at using that stock market game platform this summer. But Troy and Michael are looking at what we're doing, and we're going to be having some conversations about how we collaborate and work together as we go forward. And you two are most impressive. So, I'm hoping that we can stay in contact with you and, see how we build this network of people who are bringing uh, simulated investment education to non-traditional communities that don't often get this opportunity like Jake did at an early age. And we want to see that more people get that opportunity. Did you guys say what you're doing this summer? What are your plans this summer?
You can go, Ernesto.
I can go? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what I'm going to be doing this summer is I'm going to be doing summer school. I'm going to be working in an accounting firm, and I'm going to be hoping to start I'm going to be the president next year of the DVC Finance Club and the Toastmasters Club. So I'm working alongside my team to create a whole variety of events and things to do for the fall semester, but I'm always open to
So what do you mean by your team?
team. So my team of people, since I am the president of those clubs, I have about 6 people working alongside me who are all helping me achieve these different goals that we have as a club.
And you're a member of Toastmasters?
Postmasters.
That's great. Congratulations. And is that affiliated with your school as well?
Mm-hmm. Diablo Valley College.
That's fantastic. Are you in the Bay Area?
Bay Area. Yes.
Yeah.
Pleasant Hill.
Okay, that's good.
And
then,
hey, Robert, the last
yeah.
two presidents have been my interns.
Well, I'm not surprised, but that's great too. Congrats. And what about Jake? What are you up to? Just probably taking over the world with all your technology knowledge.
Not quite, not, but this summer I'm going to be working really hard on the project that we won't talk about that I
Oh,
talked
right.
about earlier.
Operation Unmentionable.
Yeah. And then taking a few summer classes as well. And then hopefully I'm trying to land a internship with this company that builds electric motorcycles.
Wow,
so, yeah.
electric motorcycles.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
We
you're
got
in
a good group, Robert.
You're in the Bay Area as well?
Yes, I live in Oakland. Yeah.
Okay, good. It seems like just a wonderful area to live in. That's great. One of my interns, and it's really not an intern, but someone I mentored, uh, chose from Milwaukee to matriculate at University of San Francisco.
I knew you were going to say that. That's a
Yeah.
good school.
So he was out there at the beginning of 2019, but then the pandemic
COVID got him.
And so, yeah, so he's at home in Milwaukee, I guess, studying by distance. But at some point, I'll have to be sure you guys meet him.
What year is he, Robert?
He's just finishing up his freshman year. So maybe it was actually last year that he started. He
You
just
should
finished.
definitely hook him up with us,
Okay.
just so he can be around folks that are pretty serious about this stuff.
Right. And certainly like-minded. I met him because he was in a finance and investment challenge bowl competition that we put on through our legacy nonprofit. And he was a real standout competitor. And so I just introduced myself to him. That was about 3 years ago.
Good for you.
Yeah. And he's actually a member of our investment club now, because that's our part two, as Michael and Troy knows, that in addition to the stock market simulation, we are following up with some of the nonprofit staff leaders that we work with to help them to set up their own investment clubs. And we have several going in various locations now. And the one in Milwaukee is the newer one, and we're trying to add more youth into that particular investment club. And Donald Singleton is his name. He's one of the 5 people under 21 that's in the club. He's got a pretty good stock analysis head on his shoulders. So you guys will enjoy meeting him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
quick
this is
question if I
very,
can,
very
gents.
interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, guys. One thing just popped back into my brain. Did either Investopedia or MarketWatch obviously in game mode, what about fees? I'm curious in terms of commissions, stock borrow, cost of capital. Would any of those kind of like more intricacies of the market included at all?
I can answer for Investopedia side. It does include commissions for both options, margin calls, and just regular buying and selling. And then also one more that I can't think of right now. But doesn't go any further than that.
Okay, what about MarketWatch? I mean, so now both do have the ability to sell short, correct?
Yes.
I believe so.
Okay, but you don't recall if there was, with the short sale, there was anything mentioned on the borrow cost, availability, etc.
There's none of that for Investopedia.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't think it's that intricate in MarketWatch either, but I
Okay.
could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No worries. That's just next level stuff. But
And
just
yeah,
curious.
I'll look into it for the stock market game, because I think they charge like 5% or something. They do charge for borrowing.
as part of the simulation that when you want to go short and you borrow shares, you do get a quote as to the annual to the borrow rate.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. 5% is very static, but that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, that was a gents. Amazing. So I guess, Mike, we know, we have marching orders, and Bob, we'll have to circle back at some point because, we know there's limiting. So gents, just so you know, some of the context is the SIFMA that Bob is working off of. They're well known to be in schools. They have a curriculum around it, and they're sort of their raison d'etre, if you will. Like their reason, their thing is that you need not to be a stock market practitioner. They have a curriculum ready-made to just hand to teachers to say, hey, if you want to start teaching this stuff, here's this book, go ahead, and here's this game to get the kids excited about it. But the drawback is with their history and their own sort of stories, they have licensees, and Bob can tell you about it. Like you just can't pick up a game and start one up based on where you are, the time of the year. So even Bob, who's intimate with them, only certain cities by geography, by time. So obviously it's just not something that we can really freely scale. And so that's where this conversation is, because, building off of what Bob is working on and how we can build this thing together, like I see a future where, Bob, hey, Bob, tell them about the idea, man. I think it's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard, like the March Madness.
Ooh, yes.
Well, that wasn't even my idea, was it? Wasn't it, Michael?
What? I mean, can I take credit for it now? Because it
I
absolutely
think
was your
you
idea.
did. I think it was you, Troy.
I'm trying to remember what.
'Cause it wasn't me.
It was
I
absolutely
liked it.
Bob's idea, but if he's allowed me to give credit for it now, okay, well, gentlemen, I had this brilliant idea on my own with no one else helping me. Sorry.
Well,
So,
refresh my
Bob,
recollection.
it was totally your idea, this idea of a tournament. So, gentlemen, going forward, the idea is diversity, obviously the common theme here, national tournament. We can have different leagues, high school, college.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But imagine this as like a March Madness kind of like basketball theme. We get the NBA involved, where we have teams from certain cities representing the schools, the colleges, whatever. But it all culminates in sort of a national tournament, either NFL bracket or NBA March, NCAA March Madness kind of theme, where we have brackets, etc. That was Bob's idea. But I also envision, for example, I was walking on the
Good
street.
idea, Troy. I know where you're going.
No, that was Bob's, but I had, we could have different leagues of the same theme, but I was walking down the street. Imagine a beauty and the amount of press we would garner if we had a tournament, a league for public housing residents competing with each other across the country.
I love that.
Like that would blow people's brains. We only had kids from the projects around the country competing in a tournament. And that's just one of like 1,000 ideas we could come up with around our demographic.
Yeah.
But
So
just as an idea, like public housing, so that's where this thing is going. And we absolutely want to launch something. I don't know if it's going to be end of this year or next year, but right platform, right group of guys around the table. Bob has the experience now. You guys have just put the foundation to the house in place. So when this thing becomes the monster it can be one day, you will know that you guys mixed and poured the concrete.
So thank you for reminding me. He's right. I get so many.
Oh, now you remember it's your idea. You're taking it back now.
I just.
Hey, by the way, too late. I just patented in those 10 seconds. You said it wasn't your idea anymore.
Yeah. And guess what? You won't be the first to have done that for me. But but basically, the legacy nonprofit is actually doing something like that, but not with the degree of imagination that Troy has talked about. Assetbuilders.org has a game that's called the Finance and Investment Challenge Bowl. And it already is sort of a one-day March Madness competition, but it's done by regions based on school districts. It hasn't been aligned with sports cities yet. And so that's, I think, where we could take the whole concept and morph it into something that really gets kids of color excited about it, especially if we can align it with sports. So
I know
Troy is right.
we could get the Warriors. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that they would.
Yeah, so actually, I think this would be a fabulous idea. It's funny, I agree also with the alignment with the housing authorities. Now, that is, I think, Troy's idea, although, I've been aspiring to connect with housing authorities as well. And I say all that to say that I have really tried in Milwaukee. It's a hard population to connect with, but he's right. If we find a way to connect our programs to
Be
kids who are
awesome.
in that housing authority across the country, it would just be nothing short of revolutionary. And
Amen.
yeah,
Because
and
you'd end up finding the next Warren Buffett out of that, who
Well, they're
never
brilliant.
would have
We know
thought
they're
it.
there. That's why our free
Absolutely.
orgs exist, right?
Yeah,
Can I
but
ask?
yeah, it's just such, we'd be changing their culture too, because they just don't have any connections to the kinds of things that Jake was talking about today. And I think we could really make some headway. And this is good. This sort of this sort of coast to coast conversation that we're having, including the heartland. I think that we may be onto something. This is exciting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One question I did have about what you guys are talking about is what exactly do you guys mean by housing districts?
Well,
Projects.
the largest ones are in New York. Yeah.
In Chicago.
Yeah, they're very large, and that's a great question. They're very
Public
large
housing.
subsidized housing complexes that people who live more off government assistance live in, and technically people are not supposed to live in them for indefinite amounts of time. They're supposed to be places to kind of come and get on your feet financially and then move on. But in most cases, people seem to sort of get stuck there.
Generationally.
Yeah, literally for generation after generation. And every large city has so many people staying in those complexes that they actually have part of the city administration is overseeing both the bricks and mortar and the people who live in those housing authorities. And too often there's not enough programming to educate the people. They're just warehousing the people there. And the idea is to somehow figure out how to have a focus of our program serving that population that really gets left out of these types of opportunities.
That's beautiful.
And
Absolutely.
just so you guys know that in my hometown of Peoria, Illinois, they have a public housing district or whatever. And after my dad retired, he did work for them. And then the Peoria Housing Authority, they built a community center right in the middle of some the old projects, and plus some of they're trying to update it, and they named it after my dad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
No
cool.
way, bro.
Cool.
Is it called?
And
Was he Michael Campbell too, or what's his
no,
name?
he was Frank. I can later. I'll send you pictures of when they opened it. But what's interesting too about this is, I would like to work with former Warriors and also former Peorian. Oh my God, I just forgot his first name. Livingston, who's won like 3 rings with the Warriors, and now he is working for the Warriors. I'll think of Sean Livingston. And he now works for the Warriors, but he has his own little nonprofit in Peoria that basically does Christmas giveaways, but I do have access to get to them because one of my original funders is a minority owner of the Warriors, and he told me that he could put me in contact with Sean. So that would be neat if we were able to do something like that.
So
Yeah.
I suppose they have a housing complex in Oakland. And
They've got them. They're out by the Coliseum,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and in San Francisco, it's so weird how they do it because I still remember the
HP? I thought HP is
Yes,
where all that
but
stuff
Hunter's
is.
Point isn't the only one. I remember when the first time I came to Northern California with my family, and we were riding the cable cars. And if you end up going down one line, it drops you off right in front of a housing project, which is right near Fisherman's Wharf. It's
Oh, wow.
crazy. They've tried to intermix them, but HP, which is out by the old Giants Stadium, I don't even look, did they tear it down?
Still
I know
there.
Hunter's Point is still there, but did they tear the stadium down?
And no, the old stadium is still there.
It's still there. But man, let me tell you, I had gone to there was a 49ers versus the Raiders game, right? And the Raiders ended up winning. And so I had parked in the parking lot, right? And I was following the freeway to get back. I mean, following city streets, and my damn car, the gas, you know how the light comes on?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, Jesus, please let me make it through here without stopping at Hunter's. I made it, and I was happy to pay the inflated gas price that it was once I got to a safe place. I'm ashamed to say that, but that's what it was. Because
Well, that's
they can be a
reality.
little unruly, bro, especially
Yeah.
at night.
So
You
I
know.
was just taking Troy's thought and giving us something to marinate on, and that might be if he makes the contact with one of the housing complexes in New York, I make a contact with the one in Milwaukee, which I already have, and Michael, you make a contact with one in Oakland, and then maybe we see about Ernesto and Jake helping us to do just a little small competition
100%.
of students between
I'd
those three
love to
housing
do that.
authorities. And here I go. I'd put up the money for the prize money, unless, we got somebody else that would sponsor it. And just sort of, just see if we can get a little something going, even if it's like one team per
I
location.
think I know who would probably sponsor that. And that's my guy who gave me money originally, Mike Wilkins at Kingsford Capital. That's the kind of stuff he likes to get behind, but he likes to kind of be in the background. He doesn't want a whole lot of accolades for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mike,
that's, yes.
what about your college classmate, the city council person in Chicago?
Oh, do you mean, well, she's not a city council person. She's a U.S. Congresswoman.
U.S. Congress. Okay, well, Chicago,
Robin
yeah?
Kelly. Yeah, she's in Chicago. She would get behind anything that we did.
Well,
I mean,
that's
I've
4
known
cities
her
right there.
since we were, it's just so funny to know that she's now a congressperson, but we were just, we would, hanging. She's about a year older than me, but on campus at Bradley. And now it's like, I've just been following her career, and she's just moving up.
I'll let you know, this is quickly becoming a group sort of thing here, but Bob, I would say on my end, it's pretty easy. It just so happens that the college where I first launched Wall Street Bound is a campus of CUNY, the City University system here.
Yeah.
Medgar Evers, right?
Medgar Evers.
Yeah.
Medgar Evers actually has a program called, I'm forgetting the name right now, but basically it's a community outreach program. So they actually have not campuses, they call them like community something outreach centers that are within community centers in the projects. but run by the college.
So Troy, you don't know Richard Anderson, do you?
Name does not ring a
He's taught
bell.
at Medgar Evers a little bit, and he teaches financial literacy from time to time.
I don't know the name, but he would know everyone else that I know in common.
Yeah, you'll have to
because,
meet him sometime.
I'm very familiar with
That's
him.
cool.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I say it all to say that on my end, I feel like that's actually, no, I'm sure that's an easy lift because it just so happens that Medgar Evers has their program within a community housing project in Brooklyn. But
Mhm.
I would also say that one thing that I thought about, Robert, is, and I leave to all these minds here on the Zoom, I do like the idea of riding your coattails, if you will, and learning the lessons we can learn from how it goes in your contest this summer, and using those as a takeaway, even if we start off small,
Right,
but letting this, not rushing to launch,
right.
working as we can, and I've already offered myself to the degree that maybe necessarily not. And let's say we come back with your lessons from the summer,
Sure.
yours in Miami, Dallas, wherever it is, build those lessons into this. And let's say from, second half 21, or certainly by 2022, we take those lessons and launch into this thing with a new platform and with some learning lessons behind us.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And
All right.
yeah,
I have
so
to
we
hop,
can
gentlemen.
keep everybody in the loop, and maybe
we'll
Michael,
be in
you can-
touch.
Yeah, and then Michael, share the contact info for Ernesto and Jake if you could, and we can just put
Yeah,
them on.
I'll send it to you when I send out the link to this video. I have to condense it, leave it
Okay.
on for an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jake.
Yeah.
So I've got this thing. I'm pretty sure that I can condense it on my own, but if not, I may have to ask you to help me.
Yeah, no worries. Just send it over. I can do
By
it.
the way, thank you guys again.
Thanks, Troy, and I'll sign off too. But it was wonderful meeting both of you.
I'm glad you guys
Ernesto.
had a chance to meet my guys, and I have
Yeah, I am
I
too.
got a bunch more that
Okay.
do innovative and fun things. You just happen to meet two of them.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. It was a really pleasure to meet both of you, and then hopefully Michael will put us all in touch together.
I will. See you,
All right.
Troy.
All righty.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Robert.
Take care.
Ernesto and Jake. You guys, that was impressive. I loved it.
I was
Jake,
not
why you
expecting.
laughing?
I was just expecting just to sit and watch Ernesto just give the presentation.
I know he's.
Wasn't.
Are you Italian, dude? I mean, you're like.
No, but I like
gonna throw up gang signs in a minute.
Oh man, I wanted to answer Robert's question about like which third-party company it was because I found out what it was.
Oh, okay.
It's
Well,
called-
I'll tell you what. I will send out an email soon. I'm going to see if this. I think this thing that I found. I was on YouTube. I think it's called Handbrake or something break.
Handshake. Is it?
Handshake.
Yeah.
I think.
Is it like a? It's an
Well, the-
internship website,
The
right?
like icon has like a pineapple on it, and
That's not handshake. Never mind.
well, no, I gotta find it again because I have a new computer.
Yeah. Oh, you did? You got a new computer?
I got it, baby.
Which one did you
I
get?
didn't end up getting the one that you said because they didn't have it in stock, and I could
Oh.
not take it to wait a week to get a damn computer. So I ended up getting a Pavilion from HP, and my printer is that way, is also, so just like all this connectivity in the house. And he was impressed with the stats that you told me about. So I ended up getting a good deal. But since my other computer died, I had all this shit on the hard drive that I just had to kiss goodbye. I can't get to it.
Is it important?
Not in the scheme of things, but I you know how you
Become attached?
well, attached, but I had certain programs and stuff that I had, and I don't realize that I don't have them until I try to use them. I go, oh shit, that was on the other computer. So anyway, you guys, You guys were awesome, really
you.
awesome, and thank
Yeah,
you
thank you.
for thank you for all that you do. This you don't know, but this really, really steps up what you guys do and the board does in the eyes of Troy, because I'm gonna get him to fund you guys. He doesn't know that yet, but I'm going to. I mean, yesterday we were with his director of VP of programs, Hugh, and I introduced Dylan to them. And so Dylan is working on stuff with them. So we're slowly integrating with them, but still having some independence. So,
One thing,
but it's good. It's good. And I'm just so